Hello, my name is Nisha, and in today's video I am demonstrating refreshing my braids. These braids are 2 months old around the perimeter and around 1 month old in the middle. And this is just an example showing how refreshing anywhere between 2 to 4 rows around the perimeter will make my whole head seem refreshed and new, even though the braids in the middle are still old. So when I take out my braids and I'm like retouching them, nothing fancy to it. I just take my time to remove a braid, comb out any shed hair or debris, and replace it. I just rebraid it. I only do a couple of rows or a couple of braids at a time, so it's like an ongoing rotation, if you will. This is the product buildup. There's only like maybe 3 hairs in here, so I'm not losing hair with this. I can go ahead and spray this with braid spray, or because this is my real hair right here, I wouldn't feel any type of way of using something that was more expensive. But the braid spray is right here, so I'll just use it. And then I just replace the braid. Now that product buildup that I have right there isn't going to be on all of my sections. It's usually most, or at least on my hair, it usually builds up most on my perimeter just because of how I sweat. Like the middle of my hair doesn't sweat like that, so I don't usually have product build up all through my hair. It's usually just like mainly in the back the most, or like the sides. I really have build up like that all through my hair. Although I'll have some build up, it's not the same. It's not the same. And I'm never afraid to take the time. I'm never afraid that taking my braids down take as long as it takes to put them in. That's how taking my time is how I am mindful of the care for my hair inside the braid. Okay. See, and this one probably has any buildup. I can comb through this one. So I have to remember as I'm braiding that I just did that detox treatment, and that's like the equivalent to clarifying my hair. So I have to put a moisturizer in before I add the braids back, because braiding hair in itself is dry. So I like the higher end stuff on my real hair, even though I use the cheaper stuff on the braided hair. Oh. It's too loose. I'm going to split it into 3 so I don't make that mistake again. I could have just did it with the 2 the second time, but I lost my grip when I was trying to turn positions. So the 3rd piece will just give me more leeway in gripping it the way that I want to. And I really, like, when I was in college and stuff, I could really just, like, refresh my braids on an ongoing basis for, like, months and months and months at a time, like a year at a time. And just keep, wash my hair once a month, moisturize it every day, refresh my braids a couple every weekend, and it always looked like my braids never stopped looking fresh when I would do that in college. I just don't wear braids back to back anymore, like I did back then. And if I wanted to do something different with my ends, like crinkle them or curl them, now would be a good time to do it, since I've been wearing my braids straight for a month. Really 2 months since I was, well, the first month I was wearing in a bun, and then this is the first month I wore it straight. Like today is December the 31st, it's New Year's Eve. I started braiding my hair on November the 7th. I finished braiding my hair the week of Thanksgiving. And I wasn't braiding it every day. I just braided it a couple hours each weekend until it was done. And as you can see here, I'm not taking my braids down super fast or anything like that. I'm just taking my time to make sure my hair inside the braid is preserved and not damaged by being too rough or trying to rush through it. There are tricks that I know how to do to take braids down faster, but I just don't find them to be necessary. Like sometimes, instead of like taking them down from the bottom up, I'll go to the middle and like pull a string out, and then it'll just kind of make the whole thing unravel from the string that I pulled, and that's like a lot faster, but that also roughs up the cuticles of my hair more, so I don't do that as much. But there's just different methods to taking braids down, and I'm one of those people who finds braiding and takedown soothing, relaxing, so it doesn't bother me to take my time. Some build up, just like with the other one on the end. I'm just gonna gently pull the hair out. I'm not gonna comb it out and take out a chunk of my hair with it. I'm just gonna gently pull out the hairs and leave the product build up in its own ball of gunk while salvaging my hair. I'm just gently pulling out each hair. And it's loosened because of the detox. So the detox isn't going to make any product build up disintegrate. It just makes it malleable to work with. Oh, let me just show you. And again, that's just that. It's like lint and product. From my clothes, really it's by like the collars of my clothes rubbing on it. That's where that lint comes from. The collars of my clothes, and it's just like, sweat. Sometimes it'll be shedded hair in there. That's all that's in there. Shouldn't lose a whole bunch of my hair when that comes out. There should be barely any hairs in there, even though That was a braid that had been in for 2 months. I used to think that it was normal to lose a whole bunch of hair when you took out braids. Everybody says, "Oh, your hair isn't shedding every day, and you're just going to lose all that hair that would have shedded anyway." No. When I started braiding my hair correctly, when I started taking care of my hair and braids correctly, I started losing very little hair when I took my braids down. Now, is it more than I would see, doing my hair from week to week? Sure. But it shouldn't be more than the cumulative amount of hair that I'll lose if I'm tracking my hair from week to week and put it all together in a month or 2 months. It should be about the same. If I lose more hair in braids than I lose doing my hair from week to week, and if I'm like saving that hair to track it, then I'm doing something wrong with my braid hair. That's causing damage. That's causing hair fall. That's causing hair loss. And that was important for me to learn in my hair journey, especially when I was wearing braids all the time, so that I could retain my growth. Because my hair grows really good in braids. My hair grows really good in general. It's just that I used to be too rough with my hair. I'm a lot better now. I used to be too rough with my hair. Not with other people's though, but with me, I was really rough with my hair. So I have to learn how to treat my hair like I was treating everybody else's. Now, if I wasn't filming this, I would just do like a couple of braids like before bed, or like a couple of braids while I was sitting down watching TV. The only reason I'm coming here to this desk is so I can film it and just show, what I'm doing. But normally, like let's say I'm just sitting down watching a show or something, that's when I would be redoing these braids. If I'm watching my little girl fall asleep, that's when I would be redoing a couple braids. I would do it at those moments. And if I wanted to also, I could cut where I feel the knot. So I put knots at the end of each of my braids. And if I did not want to, just unbraid the whole braid, I could just cut above the knot. But I'm not doing that. But that is another technique that makes the takedown down faster, especially if you have shorter hair. And that's the key to keeping my hair fresh and looking good. Just redo it at my leisure. Keep up with the monthly maintenance, and do the touch-ups at my leisure. And braids can be an ongoing style. The problem is now that I wear my real hair so often, a lot of times I start missing my real hair when my hair has been braided for a month or two. It's not like when I was younger, where I just loved braids back to back to back to back. Now I know my real hair and what it can do. And so if I wear my braids for 2 or 3 months, I start to miss my real hair. I'm actually kind of missing my real hair now, but it's been so long since I've worn braids. I really, really want to get some wear and some time out of this set, this rotating set. So the hair just slips out. Now if the hair was like breaking off, then that would be a problem. That means I didn't moisturize my hair well enough on the day-to-day, or I was using the wrong products to keep my hair moisturized, or it could just mean my hair is very brittle and damaged, and I have to take my braids down and do a protein treatment. But my hair is slipping out wonderfully. And this ball of product is just slipping off my hair. There. A couple of hairs inside, not too many. Even if I did not take out any of my other braids, like even if I left the whole middle in there for a couple of months, I do always redo my perimeter, just because it has the most propensity to accumulate buildup, which can lead to hair loss. If you let you allow your hair to stay in there and the hair to break off and all that stuff. So I always redo these sections. Some braid spray on it. This one has a little bit more buildup than the rest. So I just want to soften that up, let the hair will slip out. Don't want my hair breaking off. I want it to down. That's why I just pull the hairs out a few at a time. That way, if I feel like one snap, oop, it's not lubricated enough. Oop, it's not moisturized enough. Add a little bit more moisture so the hairs will slip out like I need them to. That's just a lot more better. And so as you can see, look how neat this row here looks compared to the row above it that has that new growth. You can see how this refreshing the perimeter will make it look good. This isn't a braid that's slipped. This is a braid that's grown out. And that's one thing to remember. Like, this braid isn't going on. If I pulled this, I would pull my hair out. These aren't braids that are slipping. These are braids that are grown out. This braid has been in for 2 months. Right. And has a little bit of buildup. I'm just going to pull that loose the same way I did with my nape. If I feel a little bit of resistance or like something's going to break, just going to spray it down so that I can pull my hair loose without breakage. There we go. And then there's the goop that was in there from whatever, edge controls or whatever I was using. Yeah. Catch it. Okay. There we go. Right. Refresh braid compared to growing out braid next to it. See that? See the difference? Now the braids with the bigger parts allow you to really see that this is really good new growth. This is 2 months worth of new growth. I did the back 2 rows on November the 7th. It is December the 31st, so it's almost 2 months, and that is pretty good growth that's been retained. And that's the goal, to give my hair a little bit of rest, enjoy a nostalgic style that I used to wear all the time. And when I'm done, go back to enjoying my real hair. But I do need to check on my hair inside the braid, particularly the perimeter, every 1 to 2 months. Otherwise, I'll have problems. In the middle, my hair is typically fine because, again, I don't get a lot of buildup in the middle. Um, and even if it's growing out a lot like this, like even if I want, like let's say I didn't want to braid this, I wanted to like hold on to it for like 3 months instead of 2 months, I could. I still would want to wash it, of course, but I can still do that without having to worry about my hair being damaged. But again, I wore braids for years and years and years and years and years. If somebody does not know their hair yet, or hasn't really realized how their hair reacts to braids, the way that I'm doing what I'm doing, because it isn't anything I would recommend. It's just something I know how to get away with because of my experience with this particular and specific hairstyle. Let's see, hair's in there, still protected. This is actually a longer piece of hair. So once I get to like the second row, third row, I'll start to see, my hair that's still, at hip or whatever. Engine past hip or whatever. And see how I don't even really have any build up like that. Hardly any shit, really no shit hairs. Let's see. Okay, a couple shit hairs once I smooth it. Here we go. I'm gonna spray it back up. And it starts to split the hair. That one and to my hair. And I'm not just checking like for new growth too. I also check like let's say if like hair is like sticking out of my braid, like if I have like real hair sticking out and I know that's not protected, like those would be braids too that I would want to rebraid sooner rather than later. Although the braids do stay very neat for months at a time. When just braided securely to begin with, when installed correctly, the braids will stay pretty neat. They'll get kind of frizzy, but they'll look good still. The new growth is really the biggest hint of how long I've been wearing my braids. But when I re-braid my perimeter, even if I have a bunch of new growth in the middle, you can't really see it, so it's not a big deal. And again, I can put the no matte butter. I'm gonna put a little bit of no matte butter on the ends. I don't really have to worry about product buildup in the middle. I mainly get product buildup on my perimeter. And just putting a little butter on the ends just help protect my ends, because with them being in braids, I'm not doing search and destroys. With them being in braids, I might give myself a trim. So I'm not gonna do my next big trim until after I take these braids out. So just a little bit of butter. It's just like a protective barrier. It's lubrication. I want my hair to hold on to the moisture and stay lubricated inside the braids so that I don't get a bunch of split ends when I get ready to take it out. Because it's very easy. Very, 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 very easy to end up with a bunch of split ends after braids, especially if you don't keep your hair moisturized and lubricated while you have the braids installed. The ends will be jacked up, and any growth that you got will be canceled out by it if I did not keep my ends lubricated and moisturized. Old braid versus new braid. See the difference? Looks way better. And the way that I'm taking my braids down now, taking it out, smoothing out any hair, combing it out, this is the same way that I will take down my hair when I'm done with these braids. My braids do not slip. All this is new growth. I couldn't slide this down if I wanted to. So see how my real hair is right there. I'm not trying to have no tangles or have to cut off my tip, so I'm just going to pick this loose so I don't lose my. Now some of this is the caniculon hair that has gotten tangled in with it, but I'm going to salvage my hair. I don't take for granted breaking each hair in each braid, because by the end of a whole head, that's a lot of breakage. So no strand left behind. There we go. I pick that loose. I do not pull my hair out when I notice a tangle or when I notice that it's has a snarl. I do not do that. And it seems like something small until you think it's normal to have lost 2 handfuls of hair just because you took out braids and you didn't have to lose that much hair. I thought it was normal until then. Now I know better. all my perimeter is 2 months old. My middle right here is a month old. Look how neat these old braids look. This is when most people would be taking their braids down. Look how neat my braids look. I've been rocking these for 2 months. Braids should still look neat on the takedown. Your new growth should be a giveaway. The braid shouldn't be all raggy at the end of 2-3 months. If it's installed properly and cared for properly. Like, let's say I had a really bad tangle and I was cutting my hair up here where I know my hair is, then I would use my shears. If I know I'm cutting the braid here, my all-purpose scissors are fine for that. Now, that debris at the base that I pulled out for like from my perimeter in the back and stuff, that isn't as evident as you go into my hair, as you go like 1 to 2 rows into my hair, won't be evident anymore. That debris is just like sweat, lint, product that didn't wash out. That's all that is. And it appears because I do like old school 90s braids, like with a knot at the base. If I were doing knotless braids, that would not be there. But I don't really like knotless braids because I feel like knotless braids begin to look worn and frizzy faster. So I know that they look really cute and they look really natural, but I don't wear knotless braids. I probably wouldn't do those unless I was doing some like real jumbo braids or something that I had only planned to wear like a month, instead of, rolling. But for braids like this, I would never do this in a knotless style because they just wouldn't last as long. They wouldn't look neat as long. Two-month-old braids. Just saying, they look great. I just want them to be fresh for the new year. That's why I'm going ahead and touching it up now. And I'm only going to be touching in like the perimeter. Like I might do like a couple rows in on each side of my hair, and I'm keeping these in the middle. I'll like eventually like maybe like do a few rows a day until I get all of those. But I don't like, if I wanted to, like I could keep those braids like just like they were for months, and it would be fine. Like I wouldn't have like any issues with my hair coming out or my hair being neglected or anything like that. Like none of that would happen. I would just have 2 inches of new growth at the root that shrink up because my hair is natural. But I prefer not to do that because my hair can knot sometime at the root. My hair is perfect for locking, and I'm not going for locks, so I do even in the middle, like typically at least every 3 months I will redo those over too, just to specifically to prevent locking. They're beautiful, but that's not what I'm going for. And let me point this out, even though this braid doesn't have a lot of new growth, it's not even because like this is growing like slower than the rest of my hair or anything like that. Sometimes like let's say I notice a braid is looking kind of funky, or like a piece of hair was sticking out of it, or like let's say I caught like a straight piece of hair from another braid or something like that. Sometimes I'll just redo like 1 or 2 braids just randomly. And so this is probably one of the braids that I redid randomly last month. It's not a lot of them. Sometimes it'll be like 2 or 3 a month. If this was one of the braids that I redid randomly for one reason or another, then I don't have to rush to redo it now because it doesn't have a lot of new growth. Like this has less than a month of new growth on it, so I know that I redid that braid recently. Just look how you can already see it's making steps to looking nice and neat again. Because this one is actually a little too small to be braided, but I braided it that way anyway. And you never want I never want the weight of a braid to thin out my actual hair. And when braids are too small, that can absolutely happen. So it was fine and getting through my first set, but now that I'm in maintenance mode, I am going to combine this with a braid near it so that the fullness of that part remains. And it's been 2 months. I haven't lost any hair. It hasn't thin or anything like that. But the older the hair gets, and the more opportunity for a problem. So I'm just going to go ahead and nip that in the bud now. And I could have attached this braid to any braid next to it. And like if I was trying to have a particular part, I would just make sure I stayed in the same row. Alright, this is where I paused on my first session of refreshing my braids. I do have other footage that I'm going to load of refreshing other sessions. I didn't record everything, but I did record a lot of it. So if you like this video, my content, my overall vibe, I welcome you to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.